In America, right? In America, we have been told by the Democratic Party that you could only get small change, and we could only get we have to work within the political confines, and there's realities in America. Gene, thank you for the $4.99 in the super chat. Gene says I'm feeling super. So we've been told this by the Democratic Party. Obama said, sometimes change happens in increments. And we've also been told that, you can't really create real change unless you work within the confines of the political system. Well, Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 basically saying, I'm not taking a dime of corporate money, and I am going to raise taxes on the wealthy, the corporate welfare for big banks, oil companies, big pharma, Silicon Valley would be over if I were president. He pushed Medicare for all, which would essentially end the private insurance industry or deeply, deeply minimize it. And he won, on paper, 22 states. Frankly, I think he won more than 22 states, but that's for another day. We all know what happened with that. And press the share button to get this out. I'm a little earlier in this live stream. I usually go in the afternoon East Coast time, so not everyone's going to know I'm live. But what's amazing is over the last, basically, I would say 6 months, Bernie Sanders, an elected U.S. senator, but he has no power on his own to raise minimum wage for Amazon workers or anyone else, for that matter. Bernie Sanders has been doing a radical thing. Messaging and putting out an all-out social media, psychological, and humanitarian and moralistic assault on Amazon and Jeff Bezos, and shaming them for their CEO making $266 million a day, for making $66,000, I believe, every 10 seconds. Yet, having his workers, Jeff Bezos, on food stamps, on Medicaid, on needing Medicaid, food stamps, subsidized housing, all the goodies. Needing welfare, not through laziness on their part. These are full-time workers, these are part-time workers, but they are getting paid unlivable wages, while Jeff Bezos, and it's not just Jeff Bezos, Bernie has called out the Walton family, he's called out the fast food industry, he's called out all these industries that are hoarding money for their CEOs and stockholders, basically taking the fruits of the labor from, dare I say, the proletariat at the expense, basically, frankly, stealing their money. Jeff Bezos would not be making his money. And would not be making $266 million a year. And Amazon shareholders would not be making their money and dividends and whatever else goodies they're getting without the workers who then have to take Medicaid and food stamps and all these things because Amazon and Jeff Bezos wouldn't do the right thing. So Bernie Sanders did something radical. He didn't wait and try to work within the confines of the Wall Street loving, big oil loving, big pharma loving, and plutocrat loving Democratic Party. He didn't wait to work within those confines. He took it upon himself and his staff, which deserves a lot of credit, to shame the hell out of Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Video after video he put out. Testimonials from Amazon workers who have to pee in water bottles because they're afraid to go to the bathroom, whose the pain that their body is in from literally walking 10 miles a day in their warehouses. He put out a video that I reported on a few weeks ago, a journalist who went undercover in the United Kingdom at Amazon factories and saw and experienced for himself these inhumane working conditions. He put out videos with workers that are working full-time at Amazon and literally are without not enough money to buy groceries that week. And you know what happened this morning? Oh, and obviously he put forth the Bezos Act, which said, no, if Jeff Bezos doesn't want to pay his workers a living wage, then for every dollar they have to go on food stamps or Medicaid or any type of welfare that we, the taxpayers, have to pay to subsidize Jeff Bezos. No. He needs to pay for it. And you know what corporate plutocrats like Jeff Bezos and the Waltons and the Koch brothers and all these people hate the most is actually being exposed for the greedy, inhumane, evil people that they actually are. And yeah, it is evil. When you knowingly hoard money and hoard riches and wealth and don't give a damn, and don't give a damn about your workers, that is evil. There's no other word for it. So Jeff Bezos was basically getting the bad publicity and the bad public relations that he deserved for years, all in a short amount of time. And as a result, this morning, they have raised wages to $15 an hour for all Amazon workers. Let me read to you the details. Amazon is raising minimum wage to $15 an hour following pressure from Bernie Sanders. This is from Business Insider. Amazon has announced plans to raise the company's minimum wage in the U.S. to $15 an hour following sustained pressure from Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders. In a statement released Tuesday, Amazon said the salary increase to more than double the federal minimum wage of $7.25 would take effect on November 1st. Amazon said the change would affect more than 250,000 full and part-time employees, plus more than 100,000 seasonal staff members who work for Amazon over the holiday season. Quote, "We listened to our critics, thought hard about what we wanted to do, and we decided we want to lead." Well, I got something to say about that, said Bezos. "We're excited about this change and encourage our competitors and other large employers to join us." Amazon did not expand on who these critics were, but the company is distancing itself from the suggestion that the salary rise is in response to Sanders' pressure. Jay Carney, the senior vice president of Amazon's global corporate affairs, I believe that was Obama's press secretary. I might be a different one, but I'm pretty sure Jay Carney is at Amazon, so that's probably Obama's press secretary. Quote, "We will be working to gain congressional support for an increase in the federal minimum wage. The current rate of $7.25 was set nearly a decade ago." Quote, "We intend to advocate for a minimum wage increase that will have a profound impact on the lives of tens of millions of people and families across this country." Sanders has attacked Amazon for the amount it pays workers and introduced a bill in September called the Bezos Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Out Subsidies Act, or Stop Bezos Act, which would tax large companies whose low-wage employees rely on government assistance. So there's a few things about that. First of all, if anyone believes that this is Jeff Bezos leading, I got a bridge to sell you. No. This is not Jeff Bezos leading. This is Jeff Bezos caving, not to outside critics, but to one Bernard Sanders. Bernard Sanders. Say it with me. Bernie Sanders. And a lot of people, after Bernie endorsed Hillary, and, people who I think are a little, to certain extremes, said Bernie sold out. Bernie sold out. As far as I can see, Bernie's been barnstorming the country even after losing that election, advocating for Medicare for all, pushing for progressive candidates, and pushing for things like Jeff Bezos to pay his workers. If this is selling out, I'll sell out too. Let me tell you something. This is a critical day in labor and American worker history. And why I'm going live so early without coffee in me, I have not had my coffee, is you're not going to see this much in corporate media today. And when you do see it in corporate media, and I'm about to play you a clip that I videotaped for my TV myself, they are going to minimize the fact that Bernie Sanders is responsible for this. Sure, give credit to the National Fight for 15 movement, but Jeff Bezos would not have raised wages to $15 an hour on October 2nd if not for countless media picking up Bernie Sanders' attacks and, frankly, harassment. And he should have harassed him. I'm not talking about inappropriate harassment, but he called him out and called out Amazon and put a face to the greed and put a face to the inhumanity and put a face to the grand highway robbery theft. The grand highway robbery theft that companies like Amazon, how do you think Jeff Bezos is making $266 million a day, or 66,000 every 10 seconds? You think he's just brilliant? And, you know, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I use Amazon sometimes. I try not to. It's a great idea. But at a certain point, if you go into business to make money, yes, companies, they want to, maximize profits for shareholders and all this. But at a certain point, are you a sociopath? Or do you actually, have some type of reason in your mind that says, you know what? I don't really need that extra yacht. I don't really need that extra mansion. I think he's building a house with 26 rooms. Terme, thanks for the $2. This is what fighting looks like, corporate sellouts, Taramai said. I always think of tiramisu when I see Taramai contributing. And by the way, as a reminder, this is a super chat, but in addition, we are really pushing our status quo reporting GoFundMe right now. I'll give you an update here. We're at $6,777. We just launched this bad boy almost 3 weeks ago, and our goal is 50,000, but we're setting mini goals, so we want to hit 15,000 by the end of October. I'm really excited that we just passed 100 contributors in 3 weeks yesterday, so you could definitely, if you're feeling good, if you're feeling super, if you want me and Ty to get back in the field, here's the link one more time in the super chat. $5, $10, $15, $100 gets you a hat or a shirt. $127 gets you a hat and a shirt, status quo hat and shirt. So $100 you get one, $127 you get both. And when you contribute that amount, email jordan@protonmail.com. That's email jordan@protonmail.com. Give us your shirt size and tell us how big your head is. So getting back to this, this is a major, and I say this, I'm not being dramatic. This is one of the biggest progressive wins of, I'd say, the last decade. And I'll tell you why. Because when Amazon and Jeff Bezos decide to do the right thing, there is a ripple effect from there. Because now, and by the way, I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear on something. $15 an hour is not enough. It's not enough. If you look at inflation over the last 2 decades, it should be like $22 an hour. Minimum wage. So $15 an hour, we can't just rest on our laurels and say, oh, now Amazon workers can go out for steak dinners every night or a nice vegan treat if you don't like meat. The point is, $15 an hour is not a huge, it's not going to make anybody rich, but it will help 250,000 of Amazon's employees. It will help them have a little economic relief. Maybe not live paycheck to paycheck anymore. Maybe be able to put some money aside to follow their dreams. Maybe be able to do a little more leisure time with their family. Go to a movie. Go out for a dinner. Actually live a fulfilling life. That's all we're fighting for as progressives. That's all forget progressives. That's all we should be fighting for as humans. So, you ask me, is it better that Amazon is now moving from, he says it was $13 an hour. It wasn't $13 an hour. There's been reports that that's kind of an inflated number. People were making $9 to $10 an hour at Amazon and working straight through. They got, I think, a half-hour bathroom break that literally ended up being 15 minutes. And there are accounts of Amazon workers literally afraid to pee. Literally afraid to go to the bathroom and pee, so they ended up peeing in bottled water. Empty bottled water. Tricky Vicky, thanks for the $9.99 in the super chat. She says, the fact remains, adjusted for inflation, the minimum wage would be around $27 an hour. Oh, so I stand corrected. I'll have to look that up. I thought it was 22. So even $15 an hour is not a living wage. Central banks are siphoning $4 trillion per year from poorer Americans. I agree with you. That's why I just made the point that this is not enough. But let's not avoid doing victory dances when we do get progressive change in this country. Because as a reminder, Hillary Clinton, she wasn't for $15 an hour. She was from raising to $12 an hour and moving up from there gradually. The subtle, what do they call it? The soft bigotry of gradualism. Gradualism is another term for neoliberalism. And neoliberalism is another term, crumbs for the workers, cake for us. That's what neoliberalism and gradualism is all about. Mike S. factor in productivity, and it would be even more. Indeed. So before I show you this, I videotaped before I went live a segment on MSNBC. I just want to make a point. Okay? And I'm sorry, the Hillbutts are going to be mad at me, but I got to make this point. Just play you a little, get it. Let's go back into the 2016 election and play a video for you, shall we?
I'm a progressive, but I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. And I know how to find common ground.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it. So, dare I say, can we now speak the truth, folks? Bernie Sanders is a progressive who gets big things done. And you know what? I don't care if people attack me as a Bernie bro and you're not a real journalist. I've always been open. I'm progressive. I support Bernie Sanders. I would vote for Bernie Sanders. And you know what? It doesn't change the facts of my reporting. If I found out tomorrow that Bernie Sanders was a fraud or did something illegal or wasn't actually doing what he said he did, I'd be the first one to report it. But I support Bernie Sanders. And Andres, thank you for the 20 euro for getting up early. Greetings from Austria. I would love to go to Austria. I've heard it's beautiful. So my point is, you're not, the corporate media, and I'm about to play you a segment from MSNBC that like defied reality about this. The corporate media is going to minimize this. They're just going to do a 2.5-minute segment on it. They're going to mention Bernie Sanders maybe once, but they're not going to actually do the headline that credit to the Business Insider. The Business Insider did the right headline because they pointed out this is from Bernie's pressure campaign. So when you hear from the Hillary Clintons of the world and the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all the gang of the corrupt saying, oh, Bernie's radical. Bernie, it's pie in the sky what he wants. Well, no objective person could say that Amazon didn't just raise its wages to $15 an hour as a direct result of Bernie Sanders and his pressure campaign against Amazon. There is no one objective person that can say that. Jenny Miles on Facebook says, Bernie, real power in the hands of someone with integrity. Yep. So the Democratic Party, and it's already starting. The New York Times is doing puff pieces on Joe Biden. They're doing puff pieces on Joe Biden. We've seen the Politico hit pieces on Bernie Sanders. The Washington Post has already been out with hit pieces on Bernie Sanders before he even runs. So we know that not only are there going to be negative and distorting hit pieces on Bernie Sanders, whether he runs or especially if he runs, but we know that there's going to be a Bernie blackout. There is always going to be a Bernie blackout. Because I got news for you folks. If Kamala Harris had for the last 6 months been shaming Jeff Bezos or the Waltons or the fast food industry, if that caused Jeff Bezos to raise minimum wage to $15 for Amazon, it would be wall-to-wall news on MSNBC, on CNN, in the pages of the New York Times, and they'd actually probably schedule a town hall with Kamala Harris for the next day to talk about it. But when it's Bernie Sanders who's responsible for, frankly, a major accomplishment, and it wasn't even through legislation, it was just through messaging, organizing, grassroots organizing, the power of social media, the power of his grassroots army of supporters, all of that pressured a greedy, soulless social Darwinist in Jeff Bezos to do the right thing.